Members. Councillor Smith.
Thank you, Chair. Councillor Waller has clearly outlined the reasons that Cabinet has brought Recommendation 1 before you. That is to move funding for flooding and climate management and the rationale behind that reasoning. Implicit in the budget agreed by Council at the February meeting was the aim to create savings to achieve financial stability. This would be by transformation of various services funded out of identified reserves. The savings to be made in children's services, and children's services is a statutory requirement that we fund our children, are detailed in the report, so I won't go into that. The savings identified are 8% of the children's budget. That is challenging and in the limit of what can be achieved. The report also details how these are to be achieved. Basically, the aim is to provide preventative support and targeted intervention to prevent escalation of needs. This is particularly relevant in children's service early years. And the purpose of that is to intervene at an early stage and significantly reduce the needs for educational healthcare plans, which are expensive. This would help progression to expensive specialist schools and support SEND children, that is, children with significant educational needs and disabilities, in the mainstream setting in our local schools. In 2019, there were 197 educational healthcare plans. In 2024, there were 342. So it's no wonder our high needs block, and for the public to explain that a little bit, it is the monies we have used to fund children with complex needs. So I repeat, the high need blocks is now £2.4 million. And given the present trajectory of that high needs block, it is simply not sustainable. It would lead to what's called a Section 114 notice and bankruptcy for the council. Removal of any funding for children's services would have a significant impact on savings required to reduce that high needs block, along with the other initiatives outlined in the report. Impressive work has been done already to achieve this and continues at a pace. Significant reserves for children services alone need to be in place. We have what's called a statutory override on the high needs block, which means we don't have to pay it at the moment, but that is only until 2026. Okay, it may be continued, but we don't know. There is increasing demand and complexity for SEND children. A family could literally walk through our front door with a disabled child or children, and that would cost us tens or perhaps even hundreds of thousands of pounds to fund that disabled child or children. I know because I have to do the exemptions for and sign off. There have been egregious funding cuts to local authorities over the last 10 to 12 years. It means that difficult choices have to be made. Those choices have consequences. If you have this, you can't have that. I would like a climate change officer or an environmental officer. Many other residents would do as well. They have told us in surveys. Rutland is one of the least wooded counties compared to others in England. It would be nice to have more trees and hedges to combat climate change. At the special council meeting on flooding in January, many residents took the trouble to attend. and they were understandably upset. The message that came across was that not enough had been done to prevent flooding.
Councillor Smith, you're coming up to the end of your 5 minutes, so you're about to...
Two sentences. So the choices before us are to subsidise a private company out of council tax or use council tax to fund flood and climate change management. I will be voting against recommendation 1. Thank you.
Councillor Smith.